6th grade.
This time, Mr. Carmelo will go over the code of conduct.
Yeah. So I'll start, but I'll pass it over to Dr. Watson in a moment. So I think the board is aware, but every other year, we do a full review of the code of conduct. On the off years, we just kind of do it. We still review it every year and do make some changes, but this was a year that Dr. Watson put the whole committee together, and they go page by page, section by section, and really look at all things. So she will go through the changes. There's still not a lot, but there are things that happen during the year that the principals and assistant principals are dealing with that makes us realize that there are things that we might have to tweak or fine tune, or regulations change, and that's sometimes the cause of it. So Dr. Watson, if you can go through the changes, please.
Yes, we have 10 changes. Before I get to those, I do want to thank the members of the Code of Conduct Committee, and many of them are here in the audience. So I'm just going to read the names quickly. There are 12. Chris Stack, Rich Hurley, Maurice Friend, Dave Rossi, Joaquin Meadows, Dawn Napolitano, Paul Reinish, Brian Cartwright, Joe Foglia, Josh Monk, Donna Fitzgerald, and Tarek Abdallah. So I'm so grateful to all of you for meeting every single month. Even the years that we're not doing a line-by-line review of the code, we're looking at our suspension data and our referral data, and we're always trying to develop more positive solutions to get kids on the right path. So I really want to thank you, and it's a committee that we have a lot of fun. It's a really, really great group of people. So there are 10 changes, and I'll go through them quickly. The first was just some clarification regarding expectations of the code, and we added a line under the introduction that reads, students will be held accountable for any violations of the code of conduct while in school or while serving any type of suspension, both in school and out of school. And the reason we added that, it really came from students violating the code on a suspension and guardians not understanding that the code still applied during that suspension. So that was the first, I would call it a clarification that we added. Second, we changed the definition of sexual orientation per the NICED document, creating a safe and supportive and affirming school environment for transgender and gender expansive students, which was a 2023 legal update. Thank you, Ms. Carey, for sharing that. This helps us to be consistent across all of our policies, and the new definition for sexual orientation is an emotional, romantic, or sexual attraction to other people. Note, an individual's sexual orientation is independent of their gender identity, end quote. The third change, this is really minor, to respond to some confusion and delays regarding address changes, particularly at the elementary level. Folks asked if we could add something about if a student's address changes at any time, parents and guardians will notify the school immediately by contacting the main office of the respective school, who will then assist with the process through the district registration office. So there's been a little bit of a breakdown there, and we need to work on communicating it better, but when students are moving, guardians are not always notifying the district registration office, and so we felt like we could do more outreach to get families to reach out to the school, who would then assist them with the district registration protocol. The next change really was related to cell phones and electronic devices. This is only at the elementary level, so this is the section under behavior expectations for pre-K through grade 5. Under this section, we really just removed the examples of tech as they are outdated. So we removed all examples, but some of them were things like iPods, MP3 players, I mean, like with VHS recorders. That wasn't really on there, but it did have iPods and MP3 players and things that are just outdated. So we pulled that parenthetical reference off, and we just said, other than, this is at the elementary level only, Other than district-issued devices, students will refrain from possessing or using any personal electronic devices and/or any video or audio recording devices on school property, period. Students will not act as an aggressive bystander, period. That's the end of that section. An aggressive bystander is defined in the definition section. Anyone who witnesses bullying or violence in any form, either in person or virtually, on any social media platform, and who incites further violence by egging on through comments, videotaping, or recording of such incidents. That's at the elementary level. We did a different change at the middle and high school, which I'll get to in a second. A really quick clarification on page 12 under fighting at the elementary level, we added the words physical force and/or physical aggression under fighting, and that made that consistent with the middle and high school charts. Change 6 is,
Don,
yes.
what's the difference between physical force and aggression? Read that last statement to me.
Well, it's a parenthetical reference, so in the elementary, you know, in the code, and you'll have the code to review at our next meeting, because we have to look at it a couple times, but there's a chart, and it just lists fighting, just fighting at the elementary level, but the middle and high school have a reference that also says physical force, physical aggression. It could be pushing a door open into somebody deliberately. It might not be a fight, but it's...
Running at someone aggressively,
Oh,
but not actually touching them.
Thank you, Council.
Bumping into them. There are times where you use physical aggression at the secondary level when it didn't turn out to be a fight, but people were getting physical, what Anthony said, or pushing her. But it was never in the elementary. So the only change this one is to match the elementary with that
Okay.
secondary.
Thank you, Anne, for the question. So number 6 is, again, this is the cell phone one, which we really spent a long time. I mean, I think we even had a special meeting about it. And we were going through, you know, the Yonder pouch, if we're going to do that, and if kids have a dummy phone, and coming up with every kind of scenario. And then ultimately, we just decided on language that says, quote, students will not violate any district policies related to the possession, use, or storage of personal electronic devices to include videotaping, photographing, recording, and/or distributing in any way. Students will also not act as an aggressive bystander, end quote. So very similar there. But we didn't, the Yonder policy, I don't believe we're considering that at the elementary level at this point, and that's why the middle and high school are a little bit different there. But we felt it was better to just say, don't violate the policy, and the policy can spell out all those, you know, situations. That's it for that. Number 7, the high school team would like to add social probation added as a possible consequence to every infraction on the high school chart. So it would be a possible consequence, not an automatic consequence, and nothing has proven to motivate the kids to change their behavior than social probation. So it's not something we're excited to use, but it's something that the high school team feels is effective and helpful, and it does help get kids to make better choices and get back on the right track.
Remember, social probation is can't go to the football game, can't go to the homecoming dance, can't, this time of year can't go to proms, that kind of stuff.
Can't go to graduation or basketball game.
They range from 30 days to 60 days, or a whole year if you're a superintendent.
Now, can I ask, does anybody ever think that taking away walking across the stage is extreme?
Does anybody think that? Yeah, everybody does apparently.
I do too. I just think it's because it doesn't only affect the child, it affects the family.
Yeah.
I just think that is just, I mean, it was a child's mistake, but you're failing the parents as well. And I think it's wrong. I think taking away their social graces are one thing, but taking away the one thing that will prove that they went to high school or...
Well, they get their diploma.
No, that's totally different.
I hear what you're saying.
You know, totally different. I just am totally against that.
We actually didn't talk about that as a topic, so I'm not sure how the high school team feels about that, but.
Well,
We won't ask him right now.
Okay.
Yeah, we won't ask him right now because we know, because a few of us board members got notifications from people that, from someone that can't walk across the stage.
Okay.
So, listen, it's a heart-wrenching decision. I made it a lot when I was the high school principal. Not a lot, but I remember my first year as high school principal, a young man brought in a slip and slide and snuck it in, put baby powder all over it in the front hallway, and caused a major disruption. We did not let that student walk across the stage. I had teachers come and say, he's just fooling around, you know, why are you doing that? And I mean, listen, ultimately the board is the decision maker on some of that stuff for policy, but
I would.
if that kid walks, then next year there's a bigger senior prank, and then that people walk, and the next year there's a bigger thing. The thing that we do great at the high school, and I actually talked to Josh with the young lady you're talking about, is we warn them in assemblies probably a half dozen times from middle of March. As soon as we get back from February break, we start talking about the end of the year. We start talking about social probation, and we start telling them all the great events at the end of the year. Now they have that senior picnic kind of night, the proms, the senior events, the graduation. I mean, I can remember saying to myself, and again, ask Mr. Mariano and ask Mr. Monk, don't think we're going to think things are funny that you think are funny, and don't, because your families are going to come to town, because it's such a big moment, do not make the mistake. They get so much warnings about that. So when that student does make a mistake, and the one you're talking about was a big mistake, I mean, listen, you gotta have rules, and sometimes when you're enforcing rules, it's tough. But we could put something in the code of conduct eventually. I think.
John, that was a good speech. That was good. I totally understand what you're saying, but I think there is enough to take away from a senior.
Not this time of year, there's not.
Yeah, you used the prom, the senior day, the senior picnic. I mean, you could take away everything else. You could take away any sports that they're involved in, anything. But to walk across that stage is, they will not have a decent memory of Troy. And it's going to make their whole, no, I mean, I understand what the student did that is not walking across the stage, that didn't reach out to us. That is horrendous. I totally agree with that. But I do not agree with taking away her walking across the stage.
All right, but one last thing, and then we can move on. You're talking about the prom, you're talking about things that you could take away. The last day of school, those things are almost always over. So the last day of school at the high school is when the senior pranks typically would happen. And that's really how it started. I mean, suspensions like the one we're referring to is, I mean, to me, a no-brainer. But the senior pranks are that last week of school when all those other things are done, and the only thing you have is walking across that stage. And again, we're not surprising these kids with it. We're telling them in advance, do not make that mistake for the reasons you're saying. One of the things you pay me to do is lead, and leaders sometimes make difficult decisions that upset people. But you have to be strong in your convictions, and this one, it's the only way to go to keep a safe, orderly, end of the year high school situation.
Well, then I think,
in my opinion.
Okay, well then, in my opinion, I think we should have a discussion on where we draw the line. Okay, I mean, where we draw the line, and when everything is over, at what point do we say we're taking away graduation? I mean, it's just something that I think that I don't know how other board members feel, but I really feel that we should have a discussion about it. And because like I said, that child is walking away with not a good memory of Troy.
Well, I hope that particular child is walking away with a lesson learned to not make a mistake of that magnitude.
Not 17.
If not, then
Yeah.
I think it's situational too. I think it's situational. It's situational.
No, he's got a good word. Yeah, we're getting in trouble.
Okay, well, I'll go back.
Zip it.
Okay, so that ties up number 7. Moving right along, no problem. We then modified the high school cell phone piece to match the middle school, so I won't read that specifically. Number 8, the drug and alcohol section. The committee's recommending that this section be expanded to include one line, which states, quote, "This policy also applies to all forms of tobacco products," end quote. Under number 9, under the student searches and interrogations, the committee's recommending that those authorized by the board to conduct searches and interrogations expand. Right now it states that the board authorizes the superintendent, building principals, the school nurse, and all district security officials. We're asking that that be amended to specifically include assistant principals and principal assistants by name, since they are the ones often doing the search and the interrogation. And then finally, under dissemination and review, just an updated reference where it says school 2, changing that to the Troy Community
School 12.
Sorry, school 12, thank you, to the Troy Community School. And that is the summary, so not really many substantive changes to the actual code, just some clarifications, a couple additions, some new definitions. I mean, the big change really would be the cell phone piece and also adding social probation.
So the public comment period will open July 1st. We will get, in some of the, one Friday report, I'm not sure, before it actually will get approved by the board, we'll send it to you with those changes that Dr. Watson was talking about. But today is just a public hearing piece.
When do parents get it, like, to know the changes after you approve it or before?
Yeah, after. That'll be closer to the start of school.
Yeah, we don't want anybody's opinion. They don't even want ours.
That's what the July one is.
Right, right,
Just because I disagree doesn't mean I don't want the opinion. July 1st, we're open for public comment period, so people can look.
Oh, they could
be
look
out
at
there.
it.
Yeah,
They'll
people
see it.
can look at that.
Alright.
We'll put it out on the parents' square.
Okay. Is it, Donna, are you all set with yours? Yeah.
Yes, that's it, just those 10 changes.
District goals discussion. No, I'm not sure.
Yeah, we didn't bring them around. I sent them to you in the prior report, and they're everywhere. I'm just going to read them for you. We've had similar goals for a long time. For those that were here, Jim Baldwin sat with us on Saturday, a couple of Saturday mornings or Saturday days when we put the first ones of these together. Many of them stay the same. There have been some changes. The first one, yes, Dr. Howard was here.
When Jim Baldwin sat with us.
Dr. Howard was here.
Dr. Howard was here.
It was when I was in Don's position. The first one is about proficiency on the state test, number of students overall and for each subgroup, measured for accountability, achieving proficiency on grades 3 through 8 ELA math assessments, and we always are trying to get 20% of our 1s to move to 2, 3, and 4, and 20% of our 2s move to 3 and 4. That goal has really served us well. You know, as we do our presentations, Dr. Watson and I each year, and show you the improvements as the principals present as we go along through the year at each of the buildings. Our scores have really consistently, and we've sustained those progress that we've made, and I think they look to this goal as one that helps push that forward. Through goal 2, through improved student engagement and learning, development of citizenship values and use of behavioral interventions, violations of student code of conduct will decline each year by 5%. And we really, when we're measuring that, we really do it as suspensions. We look at our suspension data, and again, each principal, when they present, talks about that and the goal of reducing suspensions in each of their buildings. And they break it down by grade level. Increased Regents diploma graduation rate. The Regents diploma graduation rate for high school will increase by 3% each year until it exceeds 90. You know, we've had some great success with that. Josh, when he talked last month or a couple months ago, we had a little bit of a slip back, but having this as a goal, again, is a great one that drives improvements at the high school. Eventually, we'll have to really talk about that one. I mean, we're going to talk about all of them as soon as I'm done here, but if you saw the Regents report recently, they are looking, it's not anything official yet, but they are discussing and looking, and it looks like it's going to happen, that they're going to make Regents exams optional. If and when that does happen, we will have to modify that, and we'll have some decisions to make at the high school. I'm not a fan of that decision, but we'll see when the details really come out what it really means. One of the new ones is improving attendance. That happened really post-COVID. Attendance became a real issue, not just here in Troy, but statewide and across the country. So, and the state started counting kids that were chronically absent, which they define as missed 10% of the school year. For an 180-day school year, that means have missed 18 or more days. And they started identifying schools that have too many kids chronically absent. So that became a new goal a few years ago. Again, but same reason as the others, it's helped drive our improvement efforts when we have this goal. Remember, when we print these goals, or after the board approves goals every year, we print them out. They're in classrooms, and teachers and students can see the things that are important to us and the board. And then the most recent change was to improve equity and opportunities and outcome, guided by the New York State Board of Regents framework on diversity, equity, inclusion, as well as New York State Education Department's culturally responsive sustaining education framework. Equity and opportunities and outcomes will be improved for all students throughout the district. That really is intertwined in all of them. That's part of, where we have our equity committee that does great work. Each building has equity goals and improvement cycles every year. That one really drives all of the other ones. Those are the 5 goals. I always say they've served us well, and I recommend keeping them. There are times where we recommend, again, we changed. There was one about using data to inform our decisions, but that's become so ingrained that we take that out to put the attendance one in, I believe, and then we added a 5th one with the equity. The top 3 have been the same for quite a long time. Questions on them, discussion about them?
I'd like us to get to the point where we don't need the equity goal.
Yeah.
It becomes ingrained in everything that we do as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Where we don't call out that we're improving it, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, I mean, it's a great point, Matt. I mean, maybe we're there. I don't know. I'd like to leave it one more year at least, just to make sure, especially with, remember, we've lost some of the stipends that came with the federal money. And so I wouldn't want to take it off at the same year that we're taking those stipends away for fear that some of that might get lost. But I do agree with you. I think it is ingrained in all the stuff, just like the data at one point could be removed. So I would welcome that discussion at this time next year to say maybe we're at that point. And, if people think we're already there, I just get concerned with the stipends going away, that we make sure that the buildings are still, going to be doing it.
You might want to leave it this
One more year.
just because of the fact that the stipends are
I like that point, though. Thank you for that.
What was the numbers for the attendance?
Just a 2% increase. Those are the chronically attendance kids. So each building gets a number from the state, 30% kids who are chronically absent. So we would try to get that down. If your building had 30% last year, we'd try to get that to 28 for the next year.
And have we reached that in all the buildings?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have the final numbers yet because the year's ending today, actually, so we can get that for you. But yeah, the improvements have been there. If you remember, as the principals were going, at that point they were giving you month by month ones. But yeah, it's been working.
Maybe we increased by 1.
You want to go to 3%? We can look at that.
Kids can't learn unless they're in front of us.
I'll see how Kara can run it now that the school year ended today, or if he needs to wait for something from the state. But at some point, I'll get those numbers and we can take a look.
Yeah.
3% better than the last.
Yeah, instead of only 2%.
Okay.
What was the first one again? I'm sorry.
First one is the state assessment stuff. 20% of ones will go to 2, 3s, and 4, and 20% of 2s will go to 3s and 4s.
And that's been those numbers for how long?
Since we started.
Since Jesus wore sandals.
They depend on those numbers. I mean, it depends on where we're at. though.
Yeah.
Where we're at right now.
So I did that in January, I can't remember, we met it this year. I can get a, look at it tomorrow and send something to the. Oh, yeah.
Are we just
Oh, yeah.
looking at our-
I can't remember if it was, I can't remember if it was like 20, right at 20 or higher. I'll take a look. Second one is suspensions by 5% decline.
Yeah, that is.
And then the graduation rate is number 3, which is a 3% increase each year. And I think, you remember, Josh, was it 85 this year when that been split down? 86. So I think we're pretty good there. She's back to 89, right?
You can do 89, right?
Yep. My minimum thing.
We kind of like,
We'll give you 2 years.
yeah. Just throw everything in there. There you go. See what sticks.
Yeah, right.
Is everybody okay with this?
So I'll review those things that were questions, and I'll send you stuff, maybe not this week, but following week's Friday report, and then we can talk about these again on the 10th to see if we're good with it. Thank you very much.
We need to do it.
March and April financials, Mr. DeNovo.
So this week I forwarded March and April financials for the board review. I finally said all bank accounts are reconciled. It took some time. I appreciate your patience. Over the past 2 months, our claims auditors reviewed 770 claims, and it was totaling over around $15 million, give or take a couple bucks. Things have been going pretty well. We're approaching our busiest time of the year with fiscal year end. Adam Hotelling and I will be working together to close out the books for the year, as well as the ARPA federal funds that have been coming in. And all in all, we're in good shape and get ready for the audit in August and September.
In good shape. That's great. When is the audit?
I think we're looking for more at the end of August to give us a little extra time.
So you saw the email this afternoon, Adam put together the reserve allocations, and said similar things at the end, like we're in a really good place this year, and when you're in a good spot like that, that's when you have to fund those reserves for when things aren't so great. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for him? Okay. Classified employee transfers for notifications only, unclassified transfers for notification purposes only. Motion on the floor for approval of minutes June 5th, 2024.
Second?
Discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Superintendent recommendation, human resources, staff matters, unclassified and classified. Under unclassified, motion on the floor for consent agenda items 1 through 16.
Second?
Discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Under classified, motion on the floor for consent agenda items 1 through 9.
Second?
Discussion. HR, you're doing pretty good. We had a pretty hefty.
That was a lot of pages.
Yeah.
But a comprehensive agenda.
But I mean, it's different having it now. Usually it's a scramble in August, you know, so.
Donna and the principal did really good getting them in early. We had some head start, so I think it's been really good so far.
And a few more today, too.
Yeah.
Do we have a lot more coming in, or we pretty good?
We have 2 days of elementary interviews coming up for, I think, 4 or 5 positions. And that's our big lift, and then we've got some of the hard to fill ones that we're gonna work on, but special ed will be some of those. Those are just super hard to find, so we're gonna keep working along with that with Donna's crew. So, but 2 days of interviews for elementary, we should wrap those up. Early next week, we should be pretty good.
Great. All those in favor? Opposed? Superintendent recommendations programs. Motion on the floor for consent agenda items 1 through 6.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Superintendent recommendations business finance. Motion on the floor for consent agenda items 1 through 14.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Board resolutions. Motion on the floor for consent agenda items 1 through 3.
Second.
Discussion. Well, I
That
want
would be
Especially when you're
Yeah,
yelling
yeah.
at us just a little while.
Yeah, really, us two just got our hands slapped for talking on school here.
Oh, I have a question.
Thank you for all your hard work and for the years that Gercio has been with us, so.
It's
I
our
know,
pleasure.
you know, I know that people like Tom and I, we go back to the beginning, so it is really, you've helped us out of a lot of sticky situations, and it's really appreciated, so.
It's very consistent, it's a great firm.
Yeah, yes.
See, you were worried.
Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? District announcements. Future board meetings, all meetings will take place at 6 p.m. If you're not going to be here July 10th, please let Teresa know so that we make sure we have a quorum. July 24th, August 14th, and August 28th. These are off a week, so make sure your calendars are marked. Friday is graduation. What time are we meeting? We'll meet in the lobby at
It starts at 5, let's say 4:30.
4:30, okay?
That's a Valley
Are
Lobby.
you going? You-
She's now around meeting at the football too.
Yes, I am.
I know.
I'm excited about that.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah, I'm not. I'm not.
We know it.
Yeah, okay, the last 2 years
Last 2 years.
were not nice.
Yeah.
I had a great time.
Good news, the last 2 weeks have been filled with celebrations of the great things our students have accomplished this year. We recognize our TMS 8th graders moving up to Troy High this morning, and all of our rising 6th graders received award certificates at moving up ceremonies at each elementary school, along with our pre-K students preparing to begin kindergarten and our kindergarten students moving up to 1st grade. We couldn't be more proud of all their achievements. Work has begun on the athletic fields at Troy High, and we are excited to see the progress over the coming weeks and months as we look forward to its completion. With the end of the school year, School 16 will shortly be moving out of School 12 and back to their building on Collins Avenue. Yeah.
Been nice having you there, Trish.
Yeah. We are excited to unveil the newly renovated building this fall, and we are extremely grateful for all the facilities and maintenance staff who have supporting moving both 18 and 16 to School 12 and back over the last 2 years. All that's left now is Troy High's 165th commencement ceremony on Friday evening, where we will send off the class of 2024, recognize the incredible achievement of graduating from high school. Congratulations to all our graduates. We know great things are going to come for each and every one of our goals. That was condensed, okay? Jake, really condensed. Jace, I would have been here for the next one.
We all appreciate it.
Friday is gonna be 78 degrees in Pumpkin.
Okay, let's move it to the football game.
We're right now.
Oh, it's
We're
too
right
late.
now.
Anything else? Okay, we'll see everybody on Friday. Thank you and welcome back to us again. Motion on the floor for adjournment. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, yeah. Take a look at that.
This is Travels to the Odyssey of the Mind World Finals. The students all wrote letters thanking us, and it's beautiful. We only have one copy.
This is Elizabeth.
Oh, how did you get a copy?
It's Elizabeth.
Oh, okay, because that's gotta go to the foundation.
I gotta give it
That
back to
copy, yeah, so it's not yours.
So you're all gonna get one.
Don't be walking out of here with
I
it.
wasn't
I'm
taking
gonna
it
scan
home.
it. I'm gonna scan each page and then I'll put it together and email it to you guys.
This is
Okay.
Elizabeth's copy, am I right?
That is
Yeah.
for the foundation, yes.
Yeah.
I'll give it, I have her stuff.
It's really nice that, it's thank you notes from all the kids that went.
Yeah,
That's
so
really nice.
we'll see it in,
Electronic.
Yeah, I'll email it to you.
okay. Teresa's gonna email to us. Okay, motion on the floor. to-
Thank you for another great year. We really had a great year here.
Yeah.
Thank you to the board.
Can I adjourn here?
Yeah.
Motion on the floor for the third time to adjourn the meeting.